Welcome back to TQQ TQQ with Quinn. In the last episode, we talked about the different operating systems that you can put on a computer and what their pros and cons are. Today, we're going to be talking about the different physical computers that you can use to run those operating systems. Let's get started. Now, there's several brands of laptops out there, and each one has their own pros and cons. If you're using Chrome OS, then you have to go with a laptop that supports Chrome OS. And some of the big ones there are Samsung's or Lenovo's, or even Dell has some Chrome laptops. Now, if you're using Mac OS, then that means you have to go with an Apple laptop such as this one. Mac OS, unlike Windows OS or Linux, can't run on other laptops such as this Surface or this Lenovo desktop. Now, if you're using Windows, that opens up to pretty much any laptop you want. You can't run it on laptops that are specifically made for Chrome OS or some older Surface laptops, but you can run Windows on Apple hardware, Lenovo laptops, or even Dell laptops. And so that makes it really flexible to choose what you want and which brand works for you. Now, if you're using Linux, it's very similar to Windows in that you can install on any laptop you want. The downside, though, is that most laptops don't come pre-installed with Linux, unlike Windows, where if you buy this laptop, it comes pre-installed with Windows and you don't have to do any other work other than powering it on and starting to use it. If you wanted to install Linux on it, though, it would be some more advanced steps to transfer it over to Linux. So since Windows and Linux are our two operating systems that we can run on just about any laptop, let's talk about which ones my favorites are and what their pros and cons are. Now, if you're going to be doing Windows or Linux, then you probably really don't want a MacBook. MacBooks are made to run Mac OS, and so while you can run Windows on it, it really isn't the same, and you'd be better off just running Mac. So we'll close this one down for now. That leaves us with our Microsoft Surface, a Lenovo ThinkPad, and also this Dell Latitude. Let's start with the Surface. The Surface is great because it can be both a laptop or a tablet. These are called 2-in-1 machines. That means that you can use it both without a keyboard or pop the keyboard on, which can sometimes be a little difficult to do, and use it as a laptop. Now, the downside to these is that it's not quite as rigid, and you have this other little piece back here, which means that you have to have a little bit more desk room or surface area to use it on, and it's a little bit harder to use it on your lap, such as the name laptop might imply. The other downside to these is battery life. The battery life on these, because they're so thin and don't have the lower portion, is a little bit worse than what you might find on, say, a ThinkPad or a Dell. Now let's move on to the Dell. Dells are great because they're normally a little bit more budget-friendly to use. This one's nice because even though it's a little bit bulkier, that bulk means it has a little bit more battery life to it and can be used for longer periods of time. Unfortunately, that's where I think the benefits of Dell end. After that, I feel like Dell's lifespans don't last quite as long as something like a Lenovo or as the Microsoft Surface might last you. Now, let's get to my personal favorite, Lenovo. Lenovo's, even though they're more on the pricey side, are a great option for a laptop because they have what I think is the longest lifespan. These Lenovos have lasted a long time, have great battery life, and can do some really cool tricks. This one, for example, can turn all the way around. This is the Lenovo Yoga. And it has a Face ID and fingerprint reader built into it. Now, I also like Lenovo's because they have this little red button here. Now, this is great because you can use it in place of the mouse for scrolling around, and it makes it a lot easier to scroll through a website without having to try and use two fingers or do some other weird tricks that some other laptops have built in. Now that we've talked about the different operating systems and the different laptops that you can use to run those operating systems, which one's your favorite? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.